Mary Magdalene and the empty tomb of Jesus Christ. Now, this is a very deep spiritual message, and I'm also just being led by the Spirit of God. But yeah, I mean, many of you chosen followers and God's people may know about Mary Magdalene and how Jesus casted 7 demons out of her. And then she was very much a close follower and disciple of Jesus. And I mean, yeah, it talks about her, and it talks about how Jesus said he would rise again on the 3rd day. And the men did not know what to think as he walked back home. Mary stayed at the cemetery crying. Eventually, she inspected the tomb again, and this time saw 2 men sitting at the head and foot of the space where Jesus' body had lain. They asked her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And Mary was crying concerning that they took Jesus' body away, and she didn't know where he was. So basically, Jesus, spiritually already predicted and knew and said that he would resurrect on the 3rd day, which he did. And yeah, I mean, it's a very deep matter because Mary Magdalene really adored Jesus, and that has to do with her weeping as well. And yeah, I mean, there were angels at this tomb as well, the angels of God. And yeah, I mean, Jesus' resurrection is power. It's very much power in that, in his resurrection, and it's powerful as well. And, it also talks about, how his resurrection is famous, which it is. And it also talks about, him being crucified and after 3 days in the burial tomb rose from the dead and walked again. But there is debate over whether he resurrected in spirit or into a material body, Regardless, he ascended to heaven, and eventually, so it was a short return trip, and this is just the case of certain individuals, debating of whether he resurrected in spirit or actually in a physical body, but overall, the main point of this is that Jesus rose from the dead, or the grave, you can say. It all ties into the same overall meaning, but he rose again on the 3rd day. And this is very major because that resurrection power resides in his chosen people, and it resides in the people of Jesus Christ. And yeah, I mean, and Mary Magdalene, once again, she adored Jesus. And I believe she washed his feet, if I'm not mistaken. God is just bringing that back to my remembrance. But yeah, I mean, Mary Magdalene really adored Jesus. And a lot of God's people don't adore Jesus. And, I guess God is really leading me to say this because, God's people have to get back into adoring, just like Mary Magdalene. She wasn't just weeping because, okay, yeah, he wasn't in the tomb anymore and she didn't know where he was. No, she was weeping because she literally adored him in spirit, and seeing him rise again, or not necessarily seeing him rise again, but witnessing his after effect of him rising again. Mary Magdalene was already already in belief of what Jesus already said that he would do way beforehand. Mary Magdalene was already in faith and in belief of what Jesus already spoke to her before this could be taking place. So yeah, I mean, Mary Magdalene is very much overlooked, and yeah, she plays a big role in being one of Jesus's adoring followers. She really adored him, Yeah, man, Mary Magdalene is very much overlooked, but she really adored Jesus Christ. And yeah, man, and Jesus really rose from the grave on the third day, as he mentioned he would, So yeah, and even when he rose from the grave, he it talks about too how it describes Jesus appearing first to Mary Magdalene and then to the apostles, commanding the men to go into the world and preach the gospel. But there's a specific reason why Jesus appeared to Mary first, because it gets back into how Mary adored him. So you see how Jesus was looking at her versus the apostles and stuff like that. He appeared to Mary first after he rose from the dead or the grave, or however you want to phrase it. But Jesus, seen her in such a realm, in such a different lens, if that bear witnesses with you chosen people. But yeah, man, I just had to be led by God's Spirit and, shed some light on this, on the empty tomb and Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ. Yeah, man, he really rose from the grave, from the dead, and, on the third day. So yeah, and Mary Magdalene, once again, she adored him. So she appeared to him. I mean, he appeared to her first, So yeah, over the apostles, and then he appeared to these other people. So yeah, man, it's something about when you adore Jesus, how Jesus will, you know, even in this, he it shows that Jesus will show up for his people in a much greater way, supernaturally, as you adore him. And, many people may not understand this, but, God's people will get what is being said by the Spirit of God. But yeah, this stuff is real. And yeah, so with all that being said, peace.